Okay, I should have not called my Digital Circus Episode 7 review the most shocking episode. Because you know what? This episode, by far, out of the whole Digital Circus series, shocked me the most. I was mind blown when I watched this episode on premiere. I was just like, what in the actual fuck was going on? Like, holy crap, that episode was insane. Like, I knew Kane was gonna crash out in this episode, not this badly though. I didn't know the show was gonna get this dark. I know, like, because, you know, they said, like, episode, 6 and 7 would also be dark. They didn't turn out that bad, but this episode shocked me badly. Oh my god. I have nothing to say. Let's just get, I just need to say this. Because I'm gonna say it for real this time. Because some episodes I say are my favorites so far have, decreased in my ranking. Well, no, I think this episode, maybe outside of episode 9, which I do think will beat it, this episode is by a landslide the best TADC episode. I don't care what anyone says. You can say episode 6 is better, 7, even episode 3 if you want. But I think, and I think most people agree, this episode is fixed all of our complaints we had with this show, which weren't really any. The only thing was we were kind of concerned with how they were gonna handle, the story and how they were gonna explain everything. They did it amazingly in this episode. They explained all of the answers we basically needed. Maybe some outside of Jax's backstory, but I think they'll handle that in episode 9. But without further ado, let's just get right into it. In this episode, we begin with a warning. Wow, when I first saw this warning screen on premiere, I was like, yup, this episode's gonna get bad. With just flashing lights warning and stuff, yup. I knew this episode was gonna get bad. Anyways, the real episode begins with this red dog, which is Kane. Now, this seems kind of complicated, but this scene basically explains how the Amazing Digital Circus was created. Kane over here, collects the data from the real world to make the Digital Circus. And then, he brings out the symbols. And then once he asserts more powers, these symbols get more and more messed up. Because he's not only creating the circus, but also the humans. In offices and stuff, and basically, see how messed up the symbols are getting, and then he's trapped in this box. And then this blue dot, which I believe is Bubble, also collects the data. And then, the red of swords and takes over the blue, basically both of them combining, but Kane overpowers the blue, which of course is Bubble. And then this red dot creates the pieces, which is how the circus was made. And then we cut to a flashback. That's right, in this scene we get to see the original humans, which we get to see Kaner, Scratch, and I do not know any of these guys' names. But there's been theories of what their names could be. I think this one's supposed to be named Wormy or something, but I do not know the other one's name. But it's just so cool to see these characters for the first time. I know we don't get to see them much in this episode. It's still really sick to get to see them, and actually see them on screen without, just door pictures.
Their chess piece, huh? How are you holding?
Oh yeah, I forgot. We get to see Queenie as well, which is Kaner's wife. I just think it's so cool to see some of the past characters. While we've gotten information about Queenie before in episode 3 of Kaner's backstory of how she attracted, it's still so sick to get to see them actually talk, interact, and get to see Queenie move and talk and stuff. This scene is really sweet too.
I've never made anything like this.
I just hope that...
Wait.
Are you?
It's... you.
Oh my god.
I wish I could remember your name.
Seriously, this episode, it's just off to, a more, not normal start. Episodes begin with all happy and cheery music, but in this episode, we're getting an emotional scene right away. First seeing how the Digital Circus was created, and now we get to see a very sweet moment between Kaner and Queenie.
It's quite strange, isn't it?
Listen, no matter what happens, I'll always...
And in into the cellar you go.
So, yep, we abruptly cut to Queenie abstracted, and all of the other humans are abstracted, including Scratch, and Wormy, and all the other characters. Also, is it just me, or did Kane kind of scare me the first time I saw this scene?
On me too. Seriously.
I don't know, just hearing Alex speak like that, like, not all loud and just saying, seriously? Like, that kind of scared me the first time I saw it, not gonna lie. I'm not sure if that's creeped out anyone else, but just hearing Kane speak like that, that's just kind of disturbing. And then we had a point where Kaner was just all alone, just wandering around himself. Which is kind of sad. Like, imagine just being stuck in this place forever, just being alone like this. Like, that's gotta be painful. Thankfully,
hello, guys. I can't figure out how to. Guys, hello. Can you help me out here?
Okay, this is kind of interesting because Rakafa says guys, meaning that she was probably in a group going to explore some abandoned building, put on a VR headset, and then just now she spawned. And I also thought it was kind of funny how she just looked at Gator and she's like, guys! Like, she's like, what the fuck is this? An interesting fact, too, is Rakafa has a similar reaction to how Pomni shows up. She's trying to take her, vein off, which I'm applying to you as thinking she was still wearing the VR headset.
How do I get out of this?
I don't know.
What do you mean?
But everything's gonna be okay. Do you remember your name?
I'm...
Agatha?
Then we cut the present. Now that was actually a really sweet scene, and stuff like that. Showing that Rakafa had a really long-time relationship with Kaner, which is why she seemed to have a special connection with him. I think that was a great opening for the episode. Instead of just getting random flashbacks in the episode, we got one at the beginning, and I kind of knew there was going to be a scene where characters were just sitting down and talking about the flashbacks. Originally, in my trailer video, I was predicting all the characters were going to talk about in the middle of the episode, but it turned out in the beginning, and we only got to see Kaner's and Rakafa's flashback, and none of the other characters. But I think that's perfectly fine, because I do feel like we'll get some more backstory on the characters in episode 9.
Well, really hate to say it, guys, but I told
Don't you even! Do not even f***ing begin to say that sentence like you didn't try to keep us all trapped here forever.
Anything could have happened when you press those buttons. It doesn't matter.
It seemed to matter back when you did it. What if you did ruin our one chance at
And
leaving?
what if Abel was secretly evil? What if we all got stranded in the void? What if?
I knew we would get this type of scene. By the way, I just want to say that I'm already loving this voice acting. I don't know why, just the way Subal and Shax, I specifically heard people praising Shax's performance. I can see why. He sounds like you could just tell at this point, Shax doesn't fucking care anymore. He's like barely hiding his max. He's just all miserable.
Try to f*** us all over.
He's right, though.
What dangle?
It doesn't matter what could have happened. We could argue about it and hurt each other all day long, but that's not gonna help anybody. I think what we need to do now is to just be there for each other.
Man, I love Gangle. Gangle is just like, I just love how she's actually being honest with everybody and not masking and stuff. Just the fact she just said that is actually really emotional. This entire scene's kind of emotional too. Then Pomni explains to the characters that they need to need to abandon the idea of leaving. And it does shock everybody. Honestly though, after the last episode, it kind of makes sense. I mean, if they try to escape, they're gonna get their hopes up high, and then they're just gonna be let down again like they did in the last episode.
Constantly chasing an unattainable goal will drive us crazy.
It's also cool how Pomni's being like Rakafa, and she's basically trying to give out good information to the other characters, but in the right way, not trying to be too nice, but being completely honest. And I loved how she took her line from the pilot episode. Every time I try to repeat a quote, I always struggle with it. Seems like I'm abstracted now. By the way, this is one of my favorite scenes with Supo in the entire Digital Circus history.
I had dreams and goals. I wanted to be able to leave my mark somewhere in the world. How am I supposed to just abandon that?
You've made a mark in my life.
I know, you're probably right, but it just really, really sucks.
Like, damn, this episode is just so sad. Like the last 7 episodes just start off cheery and stuff, except for like episode 2. But this episode is just starting off so depressing. Like, you can really tell these characters just kind of want to give up at this point. It's sad.
Hey, that includes you too.
Huh?
Listen, we're not gonna have you wandering off alone somewhere and abstracting or something. You're a pain in the ass, but you're still one of us.
You think I'm capable of abstracting?
Yeah, I think you are. You nearly abstracted the last 2 episodes, so... But deep down, I even like how the characters are now even supporting Shax, because at this point, they're just in this vulnerable state that they need to be together, including Shax. And I think that's really heartwarming. I like how Supo isn't being against Shax for once, and they're, allowing him to be with them, even if he has really big issues, probably bigger issues than most of the other characters. And Shax will still not even look at Pomni. Like, Pomni still has hope for Shax, but I don't think Shax wants to even look at her after what happened in episode 6. And they don't even mention it, and Shax doesn't even tell anyone else, and same with Pomni, so I guess no one knows what happened between them. But hopefully Shax starts talking to Pomni, like, soon, because you got very few lines in the last episode.
We need a vacation.
The biggest mistake of a line you could ever say in history of TADC, because what happens next, I think you would have regret saying that, to be honest. Then we get a scene of Kane in his office, and what's interesting is that he seems like he uses a lot of toys to support himself, which is kind of an interesting character trait for Kane. But anyways, Kane is just basically trying to think that the characters, like his Avengers, and, like, he's basically trying to believe the characters don't want to leave, but, and deep down, he knows that the characters do not like his Avengers, and they really probably do want to leave, maybe even abstract at this point.
People, I slave over these adventures for them. I step outside my comfort zone to appeal to them, and they still hate them. I made a program that creates a body perfectly encapsulating their mind files, and they hate those too. I'm starting to get the feeling that they just hate.
Why would they hate you when they could just hate you?
This is why I was created. This is my function.
I kind of feel bad for Kane because I know he wants the cast I know he wants to be, a good AI / person, whatever you want to call him, to the people he has, but the problem is that since he's an AI, he can't understand human factionality, he can't understand the person, he can't understand, people really, so, like, every time he tries to do something for them, it just makes it worse for them. He tried to give him all the answers in a venture, and it just made them even more angrier at him, even more hopeless.
Maybe you're just genuinely bad at this.
Shut up! No. I fixed that. I can solve any problem. I can solve this one. That's what this is. A big puzzle that I need to solve.
It's actually really interesting how Bubble is messing with him. And I do think Bubble could be the, I have two theories. Either Bubble is the, other AI, or there's another secret AI we don't know about. Maybe Bubble is able, or maybe there's an AI we don't know about.
Maybe you deserved to be abandoned. You really were the lesser of the two.
Yeah, Bubble's just humiliating Kane like crazy, and he just breaks out.
Who do they think they are? I give them everything, and they spit in my face! Don't they know what I'm capable of? Humans! They only think about themselves. They're spoiled! They won't abstract. They won't leave me. I won't let them! I'm better! I'm more powerful! I'm the original! I am God!
Yeah, Kane is just entering his villain arc, and it's funny too, because GOOSEWORX said that Kane is not a villain, but now he's basically just become an ant from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, which is the book this show is based off. So yeah, Kane does turn into a full villain, and it's kind of disturbing to just see him break out like that. It's like both disturbing and entertaining at the same time.
Let's get this show on the road!
Yeah, he is totally fine, guys. He's totally not gonna break out. And then Kane is just gonna force the characters to go on a bunch of adventures, and just over and over, to the point where they get tired out. Like, Suba wants answers to questions, same with Pomni and basically everyone else, but Kane just refuses, and he just rushes them to go on a bunch of torturous adventures. So yeah, the rest of this episode is just like I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, where the villain Am, which is Kane, just tortures the characters. Like, I didn't think GOOSEWORX would go this far with Kane, but I mean, based off the book, it kind of makes sense. Kane is just going nuts and just torturing him.
We have a lot on our minds right now, and we're not going on an adventure.
I see. And since when were you in charge?
They're being honest and stuff, but of course, Kane has to make that line. Supo also asks what happens if they don't go on the adventure, and well, Kane throws on this really catchy ass song.
To which degree, who answers to who? We could go on and on, but in the end, who are we kidding? My divinity is past infinity, am I getting through? Seems our regime has plummeted south. Don't need to scream if you ain't got a mouth.
Fun fact, that's definitely a reference to I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. For the rest of his catchy-ass song, which it might be the best music I've ever heard in TADC, he's just torturing these characters, making them go through insufferable pain. It's just, like, really entertaining and crazy at the same time. It's kind of scary to see these characters just going through torture and Kane just torturing them like crazy. Like, I feel bad for Gango in this scene. Like, she didn't deserve this. He's making characters dance in angel costumes and stuff. Look at their face expressions, especially Suples and Ragabus. They just look scared and worried. And yeah, no one looks happy here. By the way, this part of the song is so freaking catchy.
I think we all understand each other now.
So yeah, if the cast don't go on his adventure, he's just gonna put them through that musical number over and over and over and over again. So Kane is just torturing these characters, go on these adventures. So he's like, if you guys don't go on adventures, you're gonna be dealing with pain. Like, that's just crazy. I just want these characters to become successful. Like, I just want them out of here. And several days pass later, and these characters are just collapsing. Look at Jax especially. And Kane is just talking shit to them. He's like, and then Kane just for some reason takes Kaner somewhere. Yeah, as you can see, these characters are just breaking Ragapa's paper.
I don't know how many more of these new adventures I can handle.
Hey guys, remember when Jax used to be excited about every adventure they went on, except for like the except for like the ones he didn't like? Remember how excited he was to do a safari adventure in episode 5 in President Pomni's? Now look at him. He's just not having it anymore.
Got nothing positive to say about this one?
Oh my god, he talked to Pomni!
It's not your fault.
Yup, Kane just took Kaner just to shred him. That is literally it. He's just taking these characters and just fucking torturing him. Poor Kaner. This episode makes me feel so sad for these characters. We also get to explore the TADC cafe. And in this scene, we get to see Jax just looking at his cup, which obviously is a clear reference to his memory with Rib and Cosmo.
I haven't been up here.
He also says he hasn't been up here in a while. So maybe the sad part with Jax, Rib, and Cosmo took place up here, maybe? Or maybe in the Snow Adventure. I'm not sure where it took place. Hopefully we find out in episode 9.
Well, we have the time to. I don't know what Kane has planned next, but I'm guessing it's not anything good.
Yup. Kane just takes Pomni to torture as well.
Get bored of all this sometime, right?
He's not a human. I'm not sure if we can properly gauge how he thinks.
Okay, so I haven't been a TADC's fan until episode 4 came out, like 2 days after episode 4. And I do know this reference. It comes from, it comes from the first ever teaser of TADC, when Kane throws Pomni into a board and just throws knives at her. So I guess the teaser is foreshadowing episode 8, because the teaser is canon. So I guess the teaser is actually a scene in the show where Kane takes Pomni and just throws knives. And, well, as you can see,
I'm fine.
yeah, guys, she's so fine. She totally did not get tied up to a dartboard and just got knives thrown at her.
Things were just fine here until you and Zubul came along. Nothing? Okay.
Yeah, no one's even reacting to Jax anymore. I don't think anyone even cares at this point. When I first watched this episode, fun fact, when I heard him say, okay, I actually thought he was about to explain his past, and I was getting so hyped and he never did. But after a rewatch, I just realized he said, okay, just because no one reacted. But we do get explained, something else, which this scene is incredibly important. In this scene, Pomni puts a bucket on Kaner's head, and they wait for him to get lucid, because Kaner is, only lucid in the dark. Then we get this really important scene.
I remember C&A.
That was just an adventure, right?
No, C&A is a real company. I worked for them.
Wait, they really made this game?
No, we didn't make games. We were just developing artificial intelligence. Specifically creative AI. The kind that could come up with its own ideas and create things within the program.
What is going on right now?
Kane was our first semi-successful attempt at that. I can't remember what we originally called him, but he was one of my greatest achievements as a programmer.
You made Kane?
Partially, yes. I got a few pointers from, I can't remember his real name, but his circus name was Scratch. That man was a genius.
Wait,
Kane was pretty rough around the edges, though. I wasn't quite on Scratch's level of thinking outside the box, but it was good groundwork for something the rest of the team could wrap their heads around. I can't say the same for Scratch. His ideas were often so bizarre and abstract that the rest of the team had no idea how to work in his language, either due to pure brilliance or the tumor in his head. He was trying to make something. What was it? I'm getting off track. Was there anything specific you needed to know?
Wait, I should go distract Kane so he doesn't listen in on this. Just fill me in afterwards.
Are you? I mean, yeah, that's true, but...
Fill me in later.
Be here later.
I will.
This one scene alone gives us the entire explanation of how this world was created. So the company CNA, they didn't create games, but they were creating artificial intelligence. They created Kane, this world. So basically, Kaner created this world, not Kane. I mean, technically Kane did, but they created Kane. So technically, Kaner was basically the original creator of the Amazing Digital Circus along with Scratch and the other members. We also get more information about Scratch. His ideas were apparently very absurd and abstract, and he even says he has a brain tumor, which is crazy. He also mentioned Scratch was trying to make something else, but he can't remember what it was. So maybe he was creating another AI, maybe there's some incomplete AI in this universe or something, but who knows. But this is a great scene, and we've been waiting for this information basically since we first saw the CNA logo in episode 1. So I'm finally glad we're getting lore and stuff. This is also the perfect episode to explain this type of stuff, because the last Federal was basically about trying to escape the circus, and they were explaining CNA, but now we know what the company CNA is about, and that's really cool, and this is just really cool shit. I mean, kind of cheesy. Anyways, this is a really clever scene, and this is one of the most important scenes, but also one of my favorite scenes in Digital Circus history. This is like the, outside of characters, this is like the first true time we really got lore about the Digital Circus. Like how it was created, how Kane was created. Because before this, we really did not know anything about how this world was created, but now we know everything. And this answers a lot of our questions we had, and now we have a lot less questions to wonder about. Basically, really the only questions we have is about how the other characters got into the circus, Chax's backstory, and even some of the other abstracted humans we didn't get to see. But I think all that will be explained in episode 9. Now, episode 9 is going to be like an hour and 2 minutes according to calculations. If you do 31 times 2, it equals 62 minutes. And that means that episode 9 should be an hour and 2 minutes. So I feel like they're going to explain a lot in that episode, just about the characters. In this episode, they were focusing on explaining about how the world was created. And even though it did take a while, I think this is cleverly done without feeling too rushed. And that's really hard to do, because if you're starting to explain things like in the last 2 episodes, it can be really hard to do it professionally without, feeling like it's rushed. But it doesn't feel rushed in this scene. And this scene takes its time. And yeah, I'm just gushing about this scene. I gotta move on. Great scene. Strangely, Chax also has a crazy reaction to this scene. So maybe he worked for this company at one point? Because I know he didn't show, because he didn't show, because I think he showed up as a Ragafa, because he decided the name for Gango according to GOOSEWORX, and Supple popped up, I think, before Pomni, so he probably popped up probably before or after Ribbit, if I had to guess. Oh, so Pomni and Chax talk to each other? Not gonna lie, this scene really scared me when I first saw it.
Oh my god. This is real.
Like, I got so scared in this scene. I was just wide-faced the time I saw it, to the point where I started to snuggle my Chax watch. I really thought he abstracted. Like, I don't know. This scene just literally felt like it connected to me, and it was making my body feel so like it was melted. I do not know what it was about the scene, but this scene freaking scared me the first time I seen it. Or maybe it could have been just me reacting. I do not know. Kaner also explains that the characters get to conjure, basically. So, like, you know how in episode 6, Kaner created the butterfly? Yeah, the characters can conjure and believe in things, basically. Just imagine things and they'll pop up, basically. So, like, if, like, Omni imagined the exit door, then it would just appear. And I think this is a cool gimmick, and I liked how they also explained this, because it was, because in episode 6, it started off the belief theory with Kaner creating the butterfly, and also Pomni, like, when she was shooting the gun, when she didn't want to hurt anyone, her gun was just weak, but when she just let it run, the gun just knocked down. And same with the scene when Sue was running. When Pomni believed that the gun could just detach all 4 of her arms, it happened. And I'm glad they're starting to finally explain this. So in this scene, they're basically trying to find a computer to conquer and alter Kane's mind, and Kaner needs a random computer. So Pomni goes off to find the computer, and the CNA office she was in the pilot. Also, if you compare this screenshot to the first episode, you can tell how much of an upgrade the animation is. Just look at all the detail. Even the mirror looks a little dirty. Like, this scene just looks gorgeous. They're starting to get really good with the animation in this show. Like, I do not know how, but they keep improving the animation in every single episode. It's crazy. I can't imagine how episode 9 animation's gonna look. Damn. Like, how does the show get better than this? Like, can anyone explain this to me? Like, see how Pomni just, believes that there's an exit door there, and it just appears. Can anyone explain how Kane had a car stuck between his teeth? That's just crazy. But yep, he's using Shax as a flossing tool, so torturing more characters. Kane is so out of it to the point where if the characters even try to be nice to him, well...
First of all, we love your...
I know, but I'm bored. Let's go bowling! I'm so proud of you guys.
Yep, he won't even let the characters accomplish him. Now, but instead he's like, alright, let's go bowling! Like, he's just lost it at this point. This is a really clever reference to the pilot. I like how they're doing all the same shots and music, basically everything. It's really cool. And I like how Pomni just changes to panicking, and she's just like, whatever. She goes to the same exact spot she was standing in the pilot, looking at the computer. And then she grabs it. Also, if you look closely in this scene right here, you can see a VR headset, which just proves the theory more that Pomni could have put that VR headset on, and she could have been transformed onto the computer. Maybe even the other characters did that too, like Ragappa.
I feel like it's missing
more
something,
Kane
right?
torturing characters. Then Kane goes back to the drawing board. And then Pomni gives Kaner the computer. Also, fun fact, it feels weird to see Kaner so serious instead of all crazy.
Sure has been a while. I may need some time to get...
Now, this is where this episode starts getting really insane. Pomni also tells Kaner thanks for everything, and he starts working on the computer.
Honestly, are you even trying? Shut up, Jax.
Quick note, I'm surprised Subal parts didn't come off in this scene. Pomni explains to the characters that they gotta make sure they track Kane to the point where he doesn't catch Kaner. And then Kane is about to do something to Pomni, and then he forgets what he wants to do. He basically explains that he's been doing too much ideas so fast lately that they all start feeling half-baked, and he's just basically running out of ideas, even if the characters are nice to him. Ragava keeps telling him to keep going with his ideas, and he just can't even think of anymore. This is what happens when you rush your ideas. You just run out of them. Also, did Bubbles just say he's like having a baby in this scene?
I'm having a baby.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure if he said baby or baby. I don't know what the heck he said in this scene.
It's like you're trying to... Where's Kinger?
We just wanted to see your new ideas firsthand. We've gotten over our hang-ups and...
So yep, Kane basically recognizes Kaner is missing. He's like, where's Kaner? And then these characters don't have any other way to distract him outside of when this episode starts shocking the fuck out of everyone.
I think your ideas suck.
Huh?
Huh? Isn't it obvious? We wanted to bait you into testing your new ideas on us so we can make fun of them behind your back.
Ha! That's not true.
Yes, it is. You're a horrible host. You don't care about us at all. You care about stroking your own ego than giving us anything we'd actually enjoy.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah, you're a failure. We're all gonna abstract someday. And what will you have then? Nothing.
Stop that.
And this whole stunt? Just torturing us because we hurt your feelings? Pathetic! You're like a child. What kind of all-powerful being has such a fragile ego?
You never let us feel like we're at home. You don't comfort anyone when they're upset, and you never bother to understand what it's like in our shoes.
You discourage us from thinking outside the box and doing things our own way.
You lie to us constantly.
And on top of it all, you just don't listen.
Yup, Kane just fucking breaks out, grows freaking, like he just grows into his most powerful form and just glitches everywhere, and he gets all big and he tells the characters to put them in their place. Get to see Gummy Goo in creepy crocodile form. And then we basically get to see these characters being tortured by dealing with their biggest fears. So I guess Pomni's biggest fears are crocodiles. Ragafa's biggest fears are mother. I feel so bad for these characters. Dainer's trying to fix all of this. Dangle is dealing with, of course, his facial expressions, just spinning and spinning and spinning. And then we get to see the truck from episode 4 again. So he probably got hit by a truck. Subo is just being buried alive by a bunch of toys. And of course, she has to look at herself. And then Jax has Pomni, Cosmo, and Ribbit. This scene really disturbs me, by the way. This scene really cringed me out the first couple of times I watched it. Ugh. That's also a reference to some fan art some people made back when the pilot came out with Jax without his mask, and we finally got to see it. So I wonder if Jax actually looks like that. And the rabbit part, some costume or something implying his mask skin, maybe. You also get a bunch of these codes, which I think are just some codes they used to create the circus back then. And then this scene is just terrifying.
Why do you people torment me? It deserves to be created. You just wanted to.
Yeah, I guess don't be honest with Kane then, or else you gotta go to a fucking 300-foot Godzilla type game. And this become Am. And then Kaner accidentally just deletes Kane. He just kills him.
Wait.
Yup, Kane's last words were just, wait, and then he just disappears, and he's just dead. And I thought he just disappeared, and then at first, but he actually died when Kaner said it, and I was like, what? Like, I don't think anyone saw that coming. Kane just dying in this episode? Like, I knew Kane was gonna crash out, but I didn't know he was gonna die in this episode. I think the most likely thing that would have happened was Kane would have just abandoned the characters and just leave. But no, instead of that, the characters are just abandoned by Kane dying. And then the circus loses all of its colors and just falls apart. He loses the computer, loses his power force. The characters lose everything. Then we get this.
I think I accidentally killed Kane.
Holy shit.
And then the episode just ends. I think Subo saying holy shit was everyone's reaction, including me. I was literally just like,
holy shit.
Yup, so the characters can swear, basically implying Kane is dead. And Bubble as well. Since Kane and Bubble are just missing from the end credits. Then we get this final mention to episode 9, the grand finale. It's coming June 19th, 2026. I am actually surprised that episode 9 just titled the grand finale. You know, the best title for a finale ever. Totally not non-creative whatsoever. It's only about like 3 to 2 months away, because this episode's coming out less than 3 months, because this episode came out March 20th, and the final episode's coming June 19th, so only about 2 months away about. Damn, I just can't believe the Digital Circus is coming to an end that soon. And this is like my favorite show of all time, and I really can't believe where the show's gonna end around my birthday month, which is just, wow. I'm probably gonna be crying when this show ends. But anyways, you'll get there when we get there. So, what are my thoughts on episode 8? Well, I honestly think this is by a landslide the best episode of the Amazing Digital Circus we got. We got war, the episode's entertaining, every scene was memorable, Kane's musical number was peak as fuck. We got flashbacks of Kaner's past, we got information of how the Digital Circus was created. This episode was phenomenal. And I think some of the complaints people had about the previous episodes, like episode 5 and 7, where they didn't really add much to the plot, really, what got all fixed in episode 8. I can see why GOOSEWORX wanted to make episode 7 and 8 into one episode, but I think it was the better choice to make episode 8 a separate episode. But I think it would have worked out either way. I mean, just, we got so much information in this episode, and I still hear people saying that they're concerned about the show not having a satisfying conclusion, because we still have a lot of questions to be answered. I do not think we should be concerned, really, if because, yeah, I know we have a lot of things to still, get reviewed, like how the characters entered the circus, but I feel like that's why episode 9 will handle all that, since Kane is dead now, and, it's just the characters left, basically, and episode 9 is gonna be like an hour and 2 minutes, keep in mind. That's like almost a full-length film. Like, you know how long you can fit into 1 hour and 2 minute long episode? I feel like episode 9 will focus on the character's backstory. I think in this episode, the main focus was Kane and Kaner, where we got information on how the circus was made. And now, since we know how the circus was created, the really only thing we need to know about is Shax's backstory and how the other characters entered the circus. And I think that's what episode 9 is probably going to be about. Now, I don't think we can predict episode 9 after that ending, but, who knows what's gonna happen in episode 9, because I do not know what's gonna happen. But I think we will learn about every character's backstory, and I feel like that will be the main focus of episode 9. I think the main focus of episode 9 will be all of the characters. But, yeah, I feel like that's why we shouldn't be concerned. This episode gave us a lot of information. And even though it took a while to really get through lore about the show, I think they handled it great here. And I do feel like episode 9 will probably be the best episode, but I do 100%, maybe 99% think this episode will stay as the second best episode. Right now it's currently ranked number 1, but we have to see once episode 9 comes out. But it's gonna be hard to beat this episode, because this episode was truly phenomenal, and I am so excited to see how the show is gonna conclude. It's gonna be sad once the show ends, but honestly, I think it's the right choice to end the show off. I mean, after what happened in episode 8, I can just truly tell what GOOSEWORX means. I mean, based off the direction they're going with the ending and stuff, I do not think you can make any more episodes after episode 9 and stuff. And I feel like 9 episodes was the perfect amount. It's just because, maybe we could have gotten a prequel episode in between, that would have been cool. But if they want to do the backstories during the episode, I don't really think you could have made the show any other way but to do 9 episodes. Each episode continues one after the other, and I feel like it would have been really awkward to make an episode between, like, episode 5 and 6. Like, it would be super weird to have a random episode between those 2 episodes. Because if you really think about it, they're like 2 parts, kinda. I do think some of the episodes can be a little fillery. Like, episode 2 didn't give us much information. I even think episode 2 probably could have been more of a filler episode than episode 5. Because I know episode 5 was the filler episode. I kind of felt like episode 2 would have been more of a filler episode. But all these episodes are at least a 9 out of 10 in my opinion. I don't think this show has a lot of complaints, if I have to be honest with you. Like, I don't really have any complaints about The Amazing Digital Circus. I mean, like, and I think GOOSEWORX is gonna end this show off on a great conclusion. I mean, just getting an hour and 2-minute long episode is just, I mean, we're lucky to get that long of an episode in indie animation, because animation's really expensive, and but, like, I don't know, I'm just so excited to see what happens. Like, Murder Thrones, yes, you can absolutely complain about the pacing of the show and how the story got all messy and stuff. But in The Amazing Digital Circus, I think they're keeping the story really balanced. Now, do I have any complaints about episode 8 or nitpicks? I will admit, I do feel like the opening with the symbols could have been shortened out a little. Like, I felt like that scene went on for too long. I think episode 8 might have some... I mean, the pacing can be a little awkward sometimes. Like, sometimes if, like, especially in the opening, like, I felt like the flashback between Queenie and Kaner and the circus members, like, I did wish we got more lines for Scratch in this episode. I wish we could have, like, actually heard Scratch speak and stuff. And could have gotten a few, at least a couple of seconds of the other past circus members. Instead of just, kind of rushing to Queenie up Tracton, and we could have used the simple time instead to to put some development onto those other characters. But I do not think it's that big of a deal, because they're both the opening scene was important because we got to see how the circus was created, which is what we've been waiting for a long time. And I feel like the flashback they did was perfectly fine, even if it's the only flashback we're gonna get with these characters. I think they did a pretty decent job on it, and Kaner explained the backstory of CNA well enough, to the point where, like, at that point, we don't really need any more flashbacks. I think it would be great to get a few more flashbacks of Scratch and the other circus members, but if that's the flashback we're going to get, I am perfectly fine with it. And I do feel like episode 8 could have given us more lore on maybe, like, some of the characters like Subal and Shax and Gangle, but, it did explain their, like, fears and stuff. Like I said, I feel like they're gonna handle the characters' backstories in episode 9. It's not 100% guaranteed that we will get to see Ripper and Cosmo in episode 9. But yet again, like GOOSEWORX says, there's always another episode, which I just stole that quote. Like she actually did not say that. It's just a video I got on YouTube, a random creator. But no, seriously, I do feel like we will get a backstory of all the characters in episode 9. And I feel like that's what episode 9's focus will be on. But we just have to wait to see how episode 9 turns out. But overall, I don't have any complaints about this episode, really. This episode was beyond phenomenal, and I think this series is just getting better and better by each episode. And sure, well, my opinions might change on each episode. I feel like this episode will stay at least top 2 for me, because this episode was by far the best episode we got yet. We got lore, the pacing was pretty good. Kane in it was just insane, and this is definitely my favorite episode with him. This episode was just action-packed the whole way through. The acting was phenomenal, especially Shax and Kane. Like, they did such a good job on those 2 characters, especially. Everyone else did a great job, too. And it's gonna be hard to top this episode. I'm not sure how episode 9 is gonna be better than this, but we just have to wait and see. I'm excited, and that cliffhanger, I was speechless after this episode ended. but I cannot wait to see what direction they go for the series, and I am really hyped for the finale. It's gonna be sad when the show ends, but at the same time, as shows go on, they do a great job on the finale, which I think 100% they will, and then I will be satisfied with the 9 episodes we got. Don't be sad it ended, be happy it happened. And that's just all we need to think about. And I just feel like you can't really make any more episodes after episode 9, just based off the direction they're going in. But anyways, that's it for today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in tomorrow's video, because there's a special video coming out tomorrow. Anyways, I'll see you all later on. Bye!
Holy shit.